Hi, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Watercolour Instructions by me. Help me out by hitting the like button and subscribe and notifications so that you don't miss another thing. Today I'm going to do few random simple houses. This is a big part of learning how to do cityscapes. So I'll breaking down into how to do skies, how to do vehicles, how to do people, and houses, doors, and apartments. So this one is part of how to do house isolated way, so that if you learn how to do a small piece of a cityscape, then my hope is that you will know how to put a full cityscape by breaking down into simple elements. So on the image, on the paper I'm using is 300 gram Saunders, and I've got a mechanical clutch pencil, simple few synthetic brushes. They are not expensive by any means. And also the takeaway from this exercise or any exercise from the skill is more important than the equipment and the materials. If you want to really spend money, I would splurge on the paper, number one, pigment, number two, and the brush, the last. So paper, pigment, and the brush. So on my right side, I have a John Pike big well. It's got 20 different pigments. I don't usually need all the 20, but because it's got 20 wells, I've used it. So I've split between my yellows, my browns, my reds, greens, blues, and some grays. So in this exercise, I'm going to just do a simple house, but it has all the elements of a little bit of sky, a little bit of house. This in itself could be a simple landscape. So, and it's got a little bit of a tractor going as well. So, there is some rubbish going on here, and a tractor on the side view. So I can see another tractor wheel, and it's got some sort of fork and an engine. I'm going to just add. And these are, I wouldn't even call it as houses, these are just some sheds, but it's simple enough to start and gives you an idea of how to build a house. Okay, so that's about it. There's a road, and you can see a little bit of post. I'm just going to exaggerate the post just to make it look like it's a fence. The whole part of drawing is to minimize or the details. There's too many details. So there's a little bit of thorn, unkept hedges. There's two different layers. There's some more in the back, and the skies are converging, so to speak. And there's a little bit of yellow over here. All right, so literally that didn't take too long. So on the right, as I said, I've also got two different colors of the water, two bottles of water. One is a little more dirtier, where I actually clean the paintbrush, and then there's a cleaner water. For something like this, I don't need a really big mop. That would do. So I'm just using a little bit of blue. Okay, so I'm just coming in. A little bit of yellow ochre just to give some color over here, and I'm going to come back with a little bit of darker tones. And some lighter ones. Just a little bit of sketch. So, that was a bit too dark than I wanted. it's easy to just take that off. I'll dilute a little bit. Okay, that's all right for the sky. Okay, and for the tree lines, I'm going to use a little bit of yellow ochre to start with. And I'm going to add a little bit of burnt umber just to add. So when you look at it, they are not green, they are more of a brown, but I'm going to add a little bit of vegetation in the back. The whole thing is a bit gray, and there's a little bit of I'll add a little bit of throw in a little bit of color to just add a little texture. And I'm doing the shadows. I will obviously come in and add a little more details to the plant. While I'm here, I'm just gonna tap in. I've got a small piece of bamboo. I just add a little bit of texture. So it just gives texture. I don't know whether the camera is picking up, but I'm adding a very fine bit of a texture. And I'm using a small brush. I'm going to just add a little more detail to the tractor. I'm going to go light. I want it to be a little more red. Broken down. I can see some red. Just enough to give an indication that it's a tractor. I'm gonna come in tractor wheels. I'm fairly keeping it very dry. And a little bit of rubbish in the front. I don't know what it is. That should do it. So the house is a shade of gray. I'm just going, that one looks just dark, but I'm going to wash it down. Same thing on the side, as a tad darker. And I'm going to come in, wash it with the tractor. Okay, that's good that it's bleeding. And this house, I'm going to do a little shade of yellow. And then also, let's not forget, there's a window as well. Yellowish green. I'm more interested in the tones than the house itself. And I'm going to just come in, add a little more texture to the house. Obviously, it's run down. run down and let's do windows, do the negative, just gives the same here. And I'm going to come back with slightly darker black. We're going to add a little more details on the engine and whatnot, and add obviously texture. So for the fence, I can come in, add a little more fence, and I'm going to use a slightly thinner brush to add broken ones, and that suggestion should be enough. For the pavement, I'm just going to use some of the grays. And obviously don't forget that shadow that gives the step up. I'll come back and then darken that. And what else do we need? So I'm going to use the side of the brush just to get that dirt. And obviously a little darker on the side. I'll throw in some interesting texture just on the top of the house. And the same thing over here. I'm going to just add a little more texture. I come in with a dry brush on the side. Same thing. I'm going to use the pigment. Dry brush gives that brushed look. Gives a little more volume, makes it look more 3D. And the last thing I'm going to do is come with a little more darker, and I'm going to do a little brush branches or whatnot. Okay, so this all adds to the charm of old. And I can see an electric pole as well. And I'm going to run a cable across the paper. Not to mention, we need to add a little bit of shadow on the other side. And as I said, the footpath needs okay. I think I'm happy with it. I'm just going to make a little more darker spots here. It looks and I think I'm gonna leave it right here. Thank you for another episode. Help me out, subscribe, and keep painting. See you in another class or another instruction video. Bye.